Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this, our fifth episode of Marching Forward with Flow. I am your host, Andrea Pratt-Smith, and I am going to be joined today by Jennifer Steelman, who is another professional Kanban trainer with prokanban.org. And she just messaged me to say she's having some technical challenges, but I'm sure she'll be able to sort that out and meet me on stage in just a few seconds. But whilst we wait to get this technical issue sorted out, just wanted to make you aware that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And to be very, very candid, I've been having a bit of I don't even know what to call this week. I think it's like mental fatigue, or maybe it's a combination of both mental fatigue and some physical fatigue because I've been doing a good much of traveling since the year started. But this week in particular was really sluggish for me, and I've been feeling like it's really a challenge to concentrate and really focus on completing tasks. But what has kept me kind of grounded and honest in completing my work is that Kanban really shows me, where I'm at in my processes, what I'm working on, what needs to get done. And it's been kind of gracious using that strategy in how I work because I'm able to visualize everything that I need to work on and stuff that doesn't need to get done right away. I can actually shift it back a bit or take my time with it and just focus on high priority items that really need my attention. So even though with decreased mental capacity this week, I was still able to achieve sufficient enough work to feel as though I was still meeting my expectations and I wasn't disappointing any of my clients. But I think all of us, we get this feeling of burnout, and we just don't know how to stop. We just need to allow our bodies some time to really rest and rejuvenate, and that's what I really need to focus on since I have a little lull in speaking engagements, and I don't have to do travel until next month. So I'm gonna try to put some emphasis on rejuvenation and really trying to counteract total burnout because it's inevitable, and sometimes in the work that we do that you just keep focusing on outcomes, but you sometimes neglect your physical health and well-being and also your mental health. So I just wanted to share that with you, seeing that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and to let you know that I'm not immune to mental health challenges and physical fatigue. And it's just that concept of mindfulness, being aware that sometimes you just need to take a break, to pause, and then come back to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. That nothing is that critical that you need to jeopardize your health and mental well-being in order to get something done. So I'm glad that Jennifer is here now. She sorted out her technical issues, and I think that's just what I wanted to share on the concept of mental health. So, Jennifer, are you able to speak? Unmute yourself.
I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Um, I don't know if you heard that whole spiel that I just did about, my challenges this week with mental and physical fatigue. But how are you feeling this week?
Oh, Andrea, thank you for asking. I'm doing pretty good. I had a train a class earlier in the week and catching up today with all this stuff that was waiting for me. So a little bit of that. Typically Friday I have a nice kind of relaxing day. I can catch up on a couple of things, and today I have like slices of time that I can catch up on this little thing and the next little thing and that sort of thing. So a little bit after today, I'll be ready for the weekend for sure.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm so glad you were able to quickly resolve your technical challenges and join us. So, can you tell our listening audience about yourself? Who actually is Jennifer?
Sure. So I am my name is Jennifer Steelman. First, I'm an Agile coach and professional Kanban trainer. I also do some gardening, and I have 3 pugs in the background. So if you hear some snoring or some crazy noises, it's likely that you're picking up some of that. So hopefully not too much. They're pretty quiet right now.
Well, that's great. I know you really love your pugs. And Jennifer, before we joined the session, I was just thinking about how I think we've had 2 in-person interactions so far. Like the first one was when we met at the Women in Kanban Open event that they had in St. Petersburg. It wasn't last year. I think it was December of the year before. And then last year, January, we met up again at the Professional Kanban Trainers event. So I think we've only seen each other twice in person, but it's good to
That's right.
know. Yeah, that's right, right?
Yeah, the first one, I think it was Women in Agile Open
Mm-hmm.
in December in I don't remember it was in Florida.
Yeah, in St. Petersburg, I think it was.
Okay, yes. I didn't recognize the name you'd said. It Yes, that is right.
Yeah, and then we connected again at the prokanban.org event for the trainers in Alpharetta, Georgia last year, January. And I thought that was an exceptional experience to meet fellow Kanban trainers and to get a chance to sit down and have conversations, open dialogue with the head of the organization and give our input as far as where we see the need for improvement in the organization as far as the material that we have as trainers and also the interactions and the feedback from our students. So have you been able to implement any changes in your training based on our experience with the organization last year, January?
Absolutely. Yeah, I found that very, very helpful as well. Being able to see not only see some of the material that I was seeing at that event for the first time, but then really getting that face-to-face communication with the other trainers and being able to kind of see it from their point of view as well, and kind of all of us collaborating on creating different exercises for things and different ways to solve problems. For instance, the one of the exercises in the applying metrics for predictability class around variability. I especially enjoyed the conversation that we had at that event around there, with different activities and different ideas of how we can present that to the class. So I really enjoy the being able to be flexible in the material and find things that resonate with what we can speak to. Because that's what I find challenging sometimes, is when you have examples that maybe are outside of your experience, not from the content that we're trying, but from the kind of the metaphor that we're using in it. So being able to find my own examples, for instance, between like the tennis match, which I'm not very familiar with tennis, to being able to use traffic as an example. And there were a lot of other ideas that came up through that as well, that I've been able to use more anecdotally.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you because I'm not familiar with tennis as far as trying to use it as a metaphor in training, but everybody in the world is familiar with traffic.
Right. I find it actually more challenging, though, the longer that people have been in my organization have been working from home, that it's not like the class that I did this week. I used it, and like, how many people drive to work? And I expected, low number there, but then how many people used to drive to work? And it was like, of the people on the call, there were still like half of them that they've worked from home for so long. And I'm like, okay, so what do you drive to? Like kids just practice or events or something. And so we finally got around to something that everyone gets to on a regular basis, to where I could play out the rest of the story. But yeah, I may need to find something beyond traffic for some of these classes as well.
Yeah, especially with persons working from home. That's
Mhm.
going to be a challenge for many of us. So for those who are listening who may be new to the concept, could you quickly explain what Kanban is and how it differs from other agile methodologies or strategies or frameworks?
Sure. Yeah. Kanban is a strategy for optimizing the flow of value through a system by creating a visual and pull based um, way of doing that. And so the way that differs, I'll just use kind of people I think are most familiar with Scrum.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't say it differs so much because they can be applied and used together.
Yes.
But where it does, I guess, from the aspect of where it differs is I think it gives a different focal point of what we're using to manage. So a lot of people will say, well, where are the people in Kanban? We talk about the roles and the events and such in Scrum, and there aren't any roles or events in Kanban per se, but there are there's definite value in having some way of, how do we meet together, how do we come together, how do we interact, and whether we're borrowing from Scrum some of those events, and whether we have some of the, like we may have a team. A lot of the teams that I work with have are brand new and coming up and starting out as Kanban, but then other ones have been Scrum, and so they may have a Scrum Master and product owner and such, and so they're trying to determine, do we need the Scrum Master and product owner? And I think, yeah, if that's what you've been working with already, there's definitely a place um, for you to bring what you have as Scrum Master and what you have as product owner into the team as a Kanban team, and focus on it, not so much that role changing of who what you play within the team, but how you are helping the team to manage the flow of the work. So often there's this kind of a blend of the two.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot as well. But for me in the Bahamas, we don't have that many organizations that actually are aware of agile ways of working.
Mm,
So the challenge is that trying to find a way to get them to first of all see the benefit of moving away from from the old way of working, the chain, the what do you call it, the hierarchical system, the command and control,
mhm.
and being more collaborative in their efforts and having persons to really be knowledge workers. I think sometimes that in the old way of thinking, persons are not really encouraged to be innovative, and it stifles their thinking. And so I've discovered that in working with international teams, there's a whole different way of thinking, and the agile way, it really inspires and empowers persons to think outside of the box and to really discover products or invent products that are revolutionary, because they're not just following a traditional path of go to work, come home, go to work, come home. They're actually contributing to something that's making a difference. So I think that when we look globally, I think a lot of countries are having challenges trying to adopt and transform. Have you come across any organizations that you've probably worked with or consulted with that are not agile focused, and you had to help them to kind of see the benefit of being an agile focused organization? Have you ever experienced that?
I think so. Yes. But I think even the ones that, like are trying to be agile focused, there's the difference in an understanding of what that means and how it impacts the different departments or different teams or different, parts of the organization. So for instance, a lot of times it seems that the organization understands that as a need for the development teams, but they don't see it how it might benefit other parts of the organization as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So they don't take a really holistic approach to an agile transformation. They just try to do it departmental by department and see how it connects. But then it doesn't truly connect, in my opinion, because there's still a lot of red tape. There's still a lot of blockages and hindrances, what causes the organization not to really perform the way it should, because you still have those challenges with the sections of the company that are not incorporating agile ways of working. So I know that it's a lot of challenges for organizations to go truly agile, and it sounds good in theory. When I talk to other agile coaches, they're like, they want to hire you to be a coach and help them with a transformation, but they don't really want to transform. They just want to have the label of being agile.
Right.
Like, just give me the seal that says I'm an agile organization, but nothing really is going to change. Like, I'm still going to keep everything the way it was before you came on, but I'm just going to call my organization an agile organization. So,
Right. I think that's probably there. I mean, I think there's more to it than that, in that they don't, it's there's all kinds of levels and space opportunity in there that may have been missed um, in really defining and outlining what that means to be an agile organization. So I don't know that they say, okay, well, yes, I want an agile organization, but I don't want to change. I think they oftentimes what I run into is they don't realize that's an area that also needs to be considered for change. They just want you to, like maybe change a certain area. Well, that that area itself doesn't want to change either. So there's where the challenge lies.
yep, I know it's hard, but speaking of changing and future trends, where do you see the future of Kanban and agile practices going in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, are there emerging trends we should be aware of?
I don't know that I'm plugged into everything to give well, I'm definitely not plugged into everything, but I don't know that I'm not going to give a profound example here, though. I do think that we do. I mean, if we think things have been changing quickly or needing to change quickly and not fast enough in some of our areas over the past 5-10 years, I think that's not going to slow down. That's going to keep changing and moving at a ever faster pace. And the greater our ability to recognize that and adjust our plans, the better will be. And I think Kanban helps with that, in that looking at breaking things down small, focusing on flow, not focusing on too many things at once, delivering as, getting that feedback loop, delivering and getting that feedback, early and often, as we mentioned in any agile type. That's our goal. But oftentimes I think we still look at these long implementation plans with most practices. So the greater teams can focus on getting focused. The greater organizations can put towards building that focus within their teams of what needs to be delivered, and what's this, like how can we deliver pieces at a time versus these long drawn out implementations that we determine, at some point, once it's finally delivered, that we didn't quite hit the mark because we waited too long to get that feedback. That's going to keep advancing, I think, more quickly as we see more things come out, such as, AI changing things on us, and whatever else is around the corner.
Yeah, I'm smiling as you mentioned AI, because when I speak to my associates, there's this elephant in the room where persons are so fearful that AI is going to take their jobs. And I have to keep reminding them. I said, AI can never take a human's job. I say, but when you are a profession, let's just say you're a project manager that is utilizing AI is going to take the job of another project manager who is not utilizing AI. So it's not AI in and of itself. It's someone who is trained and knowledgeable about how to use that emerging technology. That's the difference. So, a lot of persons are saying, well, I don't want to use it. I don't understand it. I don't see how it can help me. It just needs to go away. But you need to realize when you have an emerging technology, these things don't go away. They just evolve and they become more mainstream. And when you think back to when before the invention of automobiles and everyone used horses, and Ford he said he would refuse to ask the people what they wanted because he knew that they were going to say faster horses. So it's like, how can you evolve if you haven't shifted the way that you think? So for me, everything goes back to mindset and how people view the world and how they view technology and how they view the application of these strategies, these practices, these principles, the frameworks, the methodologies. It's all about how you think about it, how you implement it, how you customize it for your organization, and how you get the most value from it. And it brings me back to this thing that I always say. I don't know who's the original author of it, but this quote I use all the time. A fool with a tool is still a fool. So if you don't know how to properly use a tool, then that tool is never going to give you the outcome that you're looking for because you've never took the time to learn how to properly use it. So we have a responsibility as trainers to make sure that when we teach a new concept as professional Kanban trainers, that our students leave our classrooms feeling as though, listen, I may not be in this particular area, but I can see how this strategy of Kanban can be implemented not only in my professional life, but I can see this in my personal life because it's a tool that is transformative and it helps you to be more productive. It helps you to be more efficient, more effective, and it has a sense of predictability. Once you do something over a period of time and you get those metrics, then you're able to say at the end of the day with some level of confidence that, okay, I can continue doing this because it's proven. I've proven it by doing it so many times. And now it's become where I can use that data to help me to make informed decisions. So it's kind of like a full circle, but I feel a responsibility that whenever I try to impart any knowledge, that the person gets it, and they can see that this is something I can use. So as I'm speaking about training, I know you have some public classes that are on ProKanban's website, and you also have your own platform that you promote your courses. I have two of my own public classes that are still scheduled for this year, July, at the end of July, and then at the third week in October. But we're actually collaborating on a private class that we're running at the end of this month. So I think it's worth saying to our users that even though you may not be available for any of our publicly listed training courses, that we are also available to schedule private training for organizations that may just want to have a session done with their internal team and not have it where a public class is anyone from the world can join, because we have students from the Bahamas and we have students from other parts of the world in our classes. So, anything else you want to add before we end the session, Jennifer?
I don't. Other than maybe, how would they reach out to you for your classes, Andrea?
Well, my classes are listed on LinkedIn, and they're also posted on prokanban.org, their website, underneath the trainers section, and it gives a listing of all of the trainers and all of the sessions, the classes that are offered publicly. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, they can also go to my website, creativemindsprojects.com. In addition to being a professional Kanban trainer, I'm also a PMI authorized training partner. So I'm a instructor for the Certified Associate in Project Management course. So I'm trying to put together a cohort to run that class before the end of the year. And some persons have expressed interest, but I want to have a full cohort of at least 10 or 15 students before we run another session of that. So that's the exam prep for the persons call it CAPM, some call it CAPM. It's so much different ways they refer to that training.
Yeah. And that kind of training can be so helpful towards those assessments too. Those PMI assessments are tough.
Yes, well, the CAPM is actually the foundational project management course. So you don't need any prior project management experience. Or their requirements or the prerequisites are really basic. You just have to have like a high school diploma. So it's kind of getting your feet wet in the field of project management without having that heavy burden of having to really study so hard, like if it was the PMP, the project management professional, because that's the one where everyone is afraid of. But I didn't think it was that difficult.
Yeah, I have my PMP and my ACP, and they're both. I mean, there's something to be prepared for.
Yeah. I would say that, but I don't think that it should be feared. Just be prepared. Right. So before we leave, if anyone wants to say something from the audience, you can just raise your hand and I'll bring you on stage if you have a question. If not, Jennifer, it was so great to have you. I look forward to us co-training together at the end of the month and also collaborating with you again on future projects. I'm trying to organize another introduction to flow workshop in the Bahamas. January, I did the inaugural one with persons from 2 private organizations, and I'm trying to get another one scheduled before the end of the year. And there's also some chatter going on about having a conference next year in the Bahamas that I'm talking to some persons about, because there's interest in persons coming down to the Bahamas. I don't know why anyone wants to come to the Bahamas, and they're like, can you do this conference? Everyone wants to come to the Bahamas. So
I mean, you go through a Midwest winter, and I think the Bahamas sound pretty good.
yes, it does. And I think when I co-hosted the Agile Alliance mini conference a few weeks ago, and I said, "Oh, I'm joining you from the Bahamas, and I can hear seagulls, and I can smell the sea breeze," and everyone was like, "Why are you doing this to us? Like, couldn't you find a different introduction? Like, do you have to start that you're from the Bahamas? Like, okay, we get it." So I'm really gonna try to see if I can pull off a conference in the Bahamas next year, whether it's an Agile related conference or something to do with Kanban. I think it's going to be a really great way to bring awareness of agile ways of working and agility to the Bahamas. And before we leave, I don't know if you knew this, but next month I'll be traveling to Washington to celebrate the fact that I won the Agile Practitioner of the Year award.
Congratulations. I did not know that.
Yes, so I was awarded the Agile Practitioner Impact Award for 2024 from the Agile and Brunch organizers, and it's a Link Empower community. So it's a whole new community of practice that I've not engaged fully with us yet. So I'm really excited to get to celebrate with them and to meet them and find out how we could work together and just make working in the agile way so much better for everyone in the world. And that's my mandate. I love it. I've really been practicing a lot and getting my certifications and just trying to be, that holistic subject matter expert. And when I speak, I want to speak with confidence that what I'm saying is actually beneficial to persons who I may be mentoring or just coaching. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to meeting a whole new community of practice.
That's awesome. Exciting.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So thank you so much again, Jennifer, for joining me on this fifth episode of Marching Forward with Flow. We will have this recording available on our YouTube channel later on before the end of the month. And the next session, our episode 6, will be next month. So thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate you and look forward to co-training with you at the end of the month. Have a great day, everyone.
I do as well, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.